I mean, it's inclusiveness. It's about having discussions with different organizations like CUPE, CAW, non-unionized members about the importances of what we need in the community to make sure we have good paying jobs, to make sure that we're doing what's right in the community to sustain ourselves better. Good infrastructure. I mean, whether it be a tax base, but it shouldn't be corporate tax cuts. That's the reality of it. When you give corporate tax cuts, it doesn't create jobs. And when you're not creating jobs, you're not doing a service, or you're not creating a benefit for anybody in the community. There's a way for us to sit down and collaborate these measures to be able to do what's right. And the problem is nobody's taking advantage of that. Just like the students in Quebec reached out, they basically shut down the school system. The reality is we have the opportunity to do that too. And if people don't start talking to us and don't start talking to the people that are not in the labor movement as a whole and the labor movement, then we need to react. And the reality is it's getting closer and closer every day.
How do we react?
I mean, again, if we can have those efforts to be able to sit down and have a discussion, I mean, you avoid a lot of problems at the end of the day. But what we need to do is we need to focus on what are the priorities for the people of the community, first and foremost. And once we establish what those priorities are, we're going to be saying it's jobs, jobs, jobs. And not just jobs that are precarious jobs where you're working 2 hours in one location and 2 hours in another trying to make ends meet. It's about creating full-time jobs with decent wages and benefits so you can sustain a family. And that's what we're missing here. We're selling our natural resources. We're not creating any type of manufacturing for those resources. We're not refining them. We're selling them all over the globe. And the reality is we're artificially inflating our dollar because of it. We're basically becoming a third world country. And people need to start recognizing that today before it's too late, because we will price ourselves right out of the whole global market.
Dino, and on the mic you mentioned shutting down the city. What would that accomplish?
I mean, what I'm talking about is we need to focus on what we need to do as a whole to make sure our voice is heard. Nobody wants to do anything that's rash or extraordinary, but the reality is we need to have that communicative effort to be able to speak our minds, talk about the issues that are important to us as working class citizens, not unionized and non-unionized. It's working class people, not going to 11% unemployment rate, 6% welfare rate, 5% that doesn't even get captured. We need to talk about how we create jobs. How do we improve upon the manufacturing industry? How do we put policies in place, procurement policies in place that protect buy local, buy domestic? Those are some of the things that put money back into our community. Like I said on the mic, 1% of corporate tax increase would save $5 billion, and you wouldn't see any of the cuts that you've seen over the last budget from the provincial Liberals. And at the same time, when you talk about it, it would be the same effect with regards to the federal government, because money would go back into the coffers.
Speaking of federal government, what are your thoughts about the EI changes?
I mean, some of the devil's still in the details, right? I mean, I still don't have the full complement of exactly what's happening, but I do understand that they're changing. It's not going to be the 40%. It's going to be basically 50% of everything the make is coming off. And again, I'm thinking it's going to be a detriment to people. I mean, the reality is with EI, they're basically suggesting that you can go work any place that's offering a job with your skill set and skill level. I mean, and I don't understand that whole concept as a whole, but I have to get more versed on it to really understand that process.
Let's talk about